All right, guys, quick side note. I was initially going to ride my Razor scooter up here to make a grand entrance, but my users, unfortunately, are either elderly or physically or mentally disabled, and they don't have that luxury. So here I am to present to you STS Express. So a little bit about me before we get into this project. I'm the creative team lead at Paper Street Media in downtown Miami. One of my favorite genres of music is atmospheric breakbeats. I enjoy sleeping on the floor, and I was ranked #2 public speaker in the state of Florida in 2005. Hopefully that does me some good for today. And 2 of those are true, 1 of those are false. I'll leave that to you to find out. So a quick overview of the agenda. I'm going to bring you guys right up into the user research process, the UI development stage, and then a brief closing. So who is my client? Miami-Dade County, and the name of the service is called STS. STS is Special Transportation Services. It's basically a service similar to like an Uber that's available for elderly or disabled people to get to their destinations for a flat fee. And it's Miami-Dade's only paratransit service, which was established in 1976. And Miami-Dade County slogan is delivering excellence every day. But unfortunately, after all the research and all the interviews and everything I experienced with this project, I'm going to have to give a big not quite to that. So the problem, no sign of the STS service utilizing technology for any of its processes. You literally have to sign up through the mail. You can only get information by the phone. Horrible. And it seems like riders are being forgotten about and unaware of services available to them. A lot of people just signing up for the STS program was a pain, and there was no information available. So one of my main hypotheses was that we believe that caretakers have a need for more accessible program information and onboarding by creating transparent and openly available digital forms and information. So I did a quick competitive analysis. None of these are actually true competitors. They're all private companies that work for STS. So I did an analysis of the overview of their programs and what they provide, the tone and copy on their websites, the design and feel, and then the red flag which came up for all of these sub-companies, which was the user reviews. None of them had their own online presence, and it was like they're like shady companies that are a front for some sort of drug trafficking operation. So that was pretty odd. Definitely threw some red flags there. And then I also did a competitive feature analysis just to see what these people provide. And as you can see in this green highlighted area, there's pretty much nothing available to the users of this service that can make it easy for them, which was horrible. So I was able to send out 107 surveys. I utilized a screener questions to make sure that I was getting people in my target. And what I was able to find out is that people's primary method of accessing the internet mostly was Android smartphone or a laptop computer. Initially, I was hoping to do an iOS app because that's like the easiest thing. Well, one of the easiest things for us. We're accustomed to it. So this geared my project more towards a full responsive website. And I found out that most of the people from my surveys were physically disabled, followed by elderly with transportation. And I wanted to get an idea of what users' ideal changes that could happen to STS that would make it better, and that pretty much included program transparency, simplified booking process, and digital payment process. Right now, you can only pay in cash and exact change. So qualitative data for this, I actually went to a local dialysis center right by my house, the Aventura Dialysis Center. I was able to get 11 interviews, which then turned into a focus group. Pretty much everyone at the dialysis center had something to say about the STS service, and that included crazy horror stories from riders about abusive or late drivers. And there's really no feedback loop for them to be able to transmit this to Miami-Dade County, and it's such a bureaucratic process that it's almost impossible. And every step of the process is done by phone or mail, and like I was talking about, no working feedback loop to improve the service. So here we have an Affinity Map, basically from my surveys and my interviews. This is a way to visualize all the data and prepare it for the Moscow method to determine the minimum viable product, or MVP, for the version 1 of what this app would come to be, or the responsive website. So here's my primary user persona. I actually have 2 user personas. The primary user persona would be the one most likely using the service for the elderly or disabled person. So this is Elizabeth Pierre. She's 54 years old, retired waitress, and she's an overly stressed caretaker. She's not too keen on software. She does love mobile apps like Candy Crush. Very interesting. She always would ask me if I could make this responsive website like Candy Crush. Unfortunately, 2 different things, but we tried our best. And yeah, and then we have our secondary user persona, which is going to be Hattie Pierre, the mother. And she has no idea about software, no idea about mobile apps, not too keen on social networking. And she's a socially active, experienced elder that, needs this service so she can get to her doctor's appointments, get to the grocery store, whatever she may need. So I mapped the user journey of Hattie because her journey directly affects the who would be using the responsive website, which is Elizabeth. And I'm not going to spend too much time here, but I will give you some of the call-outs of her main frustrations throughout a typical day using the service. She always feels like a burden on her daughter, whether it be because the driver's late, whether it be the daughter setting up these rides for her. There were days where she had been waiting in the hot sun for almost 30 minutes with no communication from the driver. And the drivers, depending on who she got, a different driver every time. Sometimes they didn't even have any respect for her. They wouldn't treat her, how she deserved to be treated. So after all this, I was able to boil it down to 2 MVPs, creating a portal-type responsive website that's transparent in regards to every aspect of the program, and giving the user the ability to apply for STS Online. Here is an example of my low-fidelity prototypes, which I was able to do usability testing on 5 users. We noticed some redundant call to action. Symbol and text spacing was out of proportion. These low-fidelity prototypes were made quite quickly due to some time constraints, so that was to be expected. And then on my question section, another redundant and obtrusive call to action. So here are some changes from the low to mid-fidelity, which was the mid-fidelity was also tested on 5 users. I really wanted to try in a mid-fidelity atmosphere the call to action again, and it was still confusing, so we nixed it out. Fixed the spacing, but now legibility was an issue, so text size was important. And on the bottom, we removed the image call to action and replaced all the key points with symbols and some text. Here's a quick look at my mood board. What I was trying to convey was reliability, compassionate nature, and trustworthy, which seemed to be something quite important for this service. Then also was able to create a style tile, just an example of colors that would be used, some more images and textures, some button examples, and type treatment. The colors were pretty much based off the Miami-Dade County color palette. We did some desirability testing on 5 users. The brand attributes were clearly seen. Just from looking at the mood board, people was like, they wish that this was their actual experience. And as I had just told you, the colors match the Miami-Dade color palette. Here's my style guide and also atomic elements. Now, I think this is a very interesting thing because looking at this style guide, these are all the elements that will create an entire responsive web app. And also, what the style guide does is if a new designer has to take on the project, or you're unable to complete the project, whoever works on it next has these elements and is able to quickly create a version 2 or improve what you had made. So here we have an example of what the desktop site might look. On the laptop site might look like, the tablet experience. And then here we have a cute little micro interaction. Something I noticed with users, they would continuously get lost on the page. So right here we have a little beautiful green arrow pop up that takes them right to the top if they get lost. Alrighty, and here we go, high fidelity prototype. Y'all ready for this? Nah, nah, nah. Also, the logo is based off, I don't know if you guys caught it, but the express lanes. If you guys think about the I-95 express lane logo, we just We just changed it out for a little handicap cool guy, 55 right there. All right, let's get into this prototype. I'm ready to go. Who's ready for this? All right, cool. So here we have the STS Express mobile web portal. We have a nice little menu that you can open and close how you please. Also, the translate feature was very important. There were a good amount of people that had problems understanding English. I don't have a modal set up for that now, but you know, in the next steps, of course. So the main thing would be to be able to apply online. We have a section here where you can get a quick overview of, you know, the service and the application process. Got some modals here for the rider requirements and document requirements, so you can know if you're ready to even apply. And I'm actually still waiting for my application in the mail to make the form page, so that page was not able to be made. We can go back to the STS Express page, homepage. We have some sections like Apply Online, About, News, and Question Center. From here, you can navigate on the page to each of the different sections, Question Center. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. On the footer, we have a sitemap, so you can also get back to where you need to go if necessary, and help and support. Of course, the STS Express logo. I'm going to go ahead and finish out this presentation. So some conclusions I have are Paratransit users need the most accessible and convenient tools available. The excitement of users and their families about this project will be the driving force behind my next steps. As for next steps, high fidelity prototype testing, fully building out the desktop and tablet experiences, building out the actual functionality of the service features once a user is signed up. So that would be a major next step, actually creating an Uber-like ride-hailing process for STS users, and submitting the case study to the Miami-Dade City of Tomorrow Challenge. Woo! It should be great. All right, so thank you, Ironhack. Happy graduation. Check out my website, uxjunkie.co. I have some alignment issues. If anyone can help me, I'd really appreciate it. LinkedIn.com, Jonathan Stio, at Old Dog New Steez on Instagram. Check out my artwork and my mediocre life. Have a great day.